In this video, we're going to take a look at completing the square when a is not equal to 1. Now, when we say a here, what we mean is the coefficient of x squared. So, two examples on this page, like we can see the coefficient here of x squared is 2. And on this example, the coefficient is 3. Now, this is slightly more difficult. It presents a little bit of a problem because we can't complete the square until the coefficient of x squared is 1. So the way we kind of work around this is to factor this coefficient out. So let's start with this example here. So we take this 2 out here first. So because this coefficient is 2, we factor 2 out. So we get 2 on the outside. I'm going to use a square bracket here because what I'm going to get is this quadratic now inside. So I'm going to get x squared. I'm going to get a quadratic inside plus 2x. And then 9 over 2. So if we factor 2 out, that would be 9 over 2. Now what we can do here is now we can complete the square on this quadratic here. Okay, because the coefficient of x squared is 1. So we leave the 2 on the outside, and we generally just leave the 2 until the very end. So 2 on the outside. Completing the square now on this quadratic here, we get x plus 1. Remember, we halve the coefficient here of x. That's x plus 1 all squared. We subtract this value squared, so 1 squared is 1, so minus 1, and then plus 9 over 2. Now, here all we want to do is keep simplifying as we go. So we keep the 2 on the outside. Clean up now the inside of this square bracket here. So we get the x plus 1 all squared. That doesn't change. We've got minus 1 plus 9 over 2. So this minus 1 plus 9 over 2. Generally, you won't have a calculator to do these type of questions. So we need to write this minus 1 over a denominator of 2. In that case, we can then add the fractions. So minus 1 with a denominator of 2, that would be minus 2 over 2. Plus the 9 over 2. So I get 7 over 2 there. Okay. So what I get here is plus 7 over 2. Now, if we look at the form that we're asked to present this in, this is completed square form. But the issue here is this is a times x plus b all squared plus c. At this point here, we're not quite in the correct form, but we can get the correct form here by multiplying through now by this coefficient that we took out before, this 2. So times through by 2 here, so we get 2 lots of x plus 1 all squared, 2 lots of x plus 1 all squared, and then we've got 7 over 2 times by 2. So in that case, 7 over 2 times by 2. The 2's will just cancel because there's 2 over 1, so the 2's just cancel, and I get left with 7 over 1 there. Okay, which is just 7. We get plus 7. And at this point here, notice that this is the correct form. Okay, so therefore, a will be equal to 2, b will be equal to 1, and c will be equal to 7 there. Okay, and that's our solution. Now for the next one, again, the coefficient of x squared is not 1, it's 3 in this case, so we need to do a bit of work before we can complete the square. Again, we just factor out this coefficient here, so we write 3 on the outside, put our square bracket in, and now we write this quadratic once we factored the 3 out, so that's going to be x squared, minus 12x, once we factor the 3, that would be minus 4x, and then finally we've got a over 3 here, so plus a over 3. Now from here, once we've got the coefficient of x squared being 1, like it is in this case, we can now complete the square on this quadratic here, inside the square brackets. So write the 3 on the outside, I'm going to get x, half the coefficient of this x here, so that's going to be minus 2. We square this bracket and we subtract this value squared. So that would be minus 4. Don't forget the 8 over 3. So that's plus 8 over 3. And again here, all we do is we keep simplifying as we go. So we get 3 lots of x minus 2 all squared. We've got minus 4 plus 8 over 3. So minus 4 plus 8 over 3. Again, we just need to put this over a common denominator, so that would be minus 12 over 3, minus 12 over 3 plus 8 over 3 there. Okay. So here now, once we've got this over a common denominator, we can just clearly find the solution. This would be minus 4 over 3. Okay. So in that case, we get minus 4 over 3. So minus 4 over 3. And again, we want it in this form here. So the way we do that is just to multiply through by this coefficient that we factored out earlier. So therefore, we're going to get 3 lots of x minus 2 all squared And then we do 3 times minus 4 over 3. And again, the 3's will just cancel and I'll get left with minus 4 there. So in that case, noting the values of A, B, and C here, A is 3, B is minus 2, and C is minus 4. And there we have it. So that's our solution to the second example. So now it's your turn to have a go at a couple of practice questions. So like always, pause the video now, have a quick go, and then we'll take a look in a moment at what you should have got. So hopefully you got an okay with these two practice questions. Let's take a look now at what you should have got. So the first one here, again, the coefficient is now 2, so we need to factor this 2 out before we can complete the square. So we get 2 on the outside. So that's going to give me x squared. We're going to get minus 4x. And then we're going to get half. Okay, so just factor in the 2 out to begin with. Now we know that this quadratic here, the coefficient of x squared is 1, so we can complete the square. So put the 2 on the outside still. This would give me x. We have this coefficient here of x, that would be minus 2. And we square this bracket. We now subtract this value squared, so minus 4. And then don't forget the plus a half here. So like you can see, these questions aren't technically too challenging. It's very kind of, it always follows the same method generally. So you've just got to be confident with working with fractions. That's kind of the key thing here. Like you can see, this often crops up. So let's simplify now the inside of this square bracket here. So we get 2 on the outside again. That would be x minus 2 all squared. I've got minus 4 plus a half. So again, putting that minus 4 over a denominator of 2, that would be minus a over 2. So a common denominator then, plus a half. And in that case, we get minus 7 over 2. So that's minus 7 over 2. And now finally, we can get it in this form here by multiplying through by 2. So we get 2 lots of x minus 2 all squared minus 7, because minus 7 over 2 times by 2, the 2's will just cancel. I get left with minus 7 there. Okay, so therefore, we can note the values of A, which is 2, B is minus 2, and C here is minus 7. Okay, and that's our solution to the first question. And for the last one here, again, we just need to complete the square on this quadratic here, but we can't straight away because the coefficient of x squared is not 1. Okay, so it's 4 in this case. So let's factor the 4 out to begin with. So 4 on the outside. And then the quadratic I'm going to get left with here would be x squared. That'd be plus 2x. And that would be plus 3 over 4. So now, because the coefficient of x squared here is 1, like always, we can now complete the square. Leave the 4 on the outside. So this is going to give me x plus 1, because this is 2x. We have the coefficient of x here, so x plus 1 all squared. We subtract this value squared, so minus 1, and then add on whatever's left over, so plus 3 over 4. Like always, we just need to clean up now inside this square bracket here and simplify. So I'm going to get 4 lots of x plus 1 all squared. I've got minus 1 plus 3 over 4. So we need to get a common denominator here. So we need to get this minus 1 over a denominator of 4. So that would be minus 4 over 4 plus 3 over 4. So minus 4 over 4 plus 3 over 4. That's going to give me minus 1 over 4. Okay, so in that case, we get minus 1 over 4. And now finally, we can get it in the correct form here, our solution, by multiplying through by this 4 here on the outside. So we get 4 lots of x plus 1 all squared. And then 4 times minus 1 over 4. Again, the 4's will just cancel. I'm going to get left with minus 1 there. Okay. And there we have it. So that's our solution. So we can note the values of A, B, and C here. So A in this case is 4. B is this value here. So that would be plus 1 or plus 1 here, like we can see. And then finally C is this constant term at the end, which is minus 1. Okay. And there we have it. So that's our solution. And that brings us to the end of this video. In the next video, we're going to take a look at finding turning points by completing the square.